concerned are you about this surgery?
Look, I really like Isaiah Likely. I watch him and I always find myself saying, he needs more targets. Like, he's really good, you know? But honestly, this is nothing.
Really?
Yeah. They will be fine.
Okay.
First of all, he will be back. I don't know that he'll be back for game one. He'll be back early in the season, right? He may miss a few games. Obviously, he's not even their number one tight end. I know you can go a lot of 12 personnel, but you got Mark Andrews, who the only concern you can have about Andrews is there going to be a mental block with him dropping that pass against the Bills? I don't think so. I think he'll be fine. In fact, I think he's coming back with something to prove. So I think he'll be fine. And look, I'm not saying Charlie Kolar is not, he's the third string tight end. He made some plays last year. Now, he's not Likely, but he made some plays. So this is my point. I'm not worried at all about them losing Likely for a few games. I think they will have just nearly as good a chance of winning their early games as they would have without him. The schedule is a monster. And they could win. They could win. They could lose those games. Yeah, early. They could lose those games with or without Likely. So they, like you said, before the bye, I mean, you got the Bills, you got the Lions, the Chiefs. And the Rams and the Texans.
Every single one of their tough non-divisional games
is early.
Is before the bye.
I mean, that's horrible.
I am going to say, now they could be 3-3. I'm going to say I think they'll be 4-2 going into the bye. I know that's optimistic. Well, but then after the bye, it's relatively smooth sailing. So I'm not concerned. Look, as much as I love Likely, they'll be fine.
So I disagree with a ton of that. So first of all, I think their plan was for Likely to be the number one tight end this year. It seemed like there was a few months, and it wasn't because of the drop in the AFC divisional round game, but there was a period of time where the thought was the Ravens might be moving on from Mark Andrews because they have Likely. Maybe they like Kolar as well.
I thought that too, but Andrews had a career-high 11 touchdowns.
I know, but they knew that when all of us thought there was a real chance, and even Harbaugh had been kind of cagey about what they were going to do. Obviously, they ended up bringing him back, but I think the plan was for Likely to ascend to tight end one, even though Andrews had the big touchdown numbers. So I think that is problematic for him. I think the fact that we are, and we'll see how it plays out, you and I disagree about the overall quality of their receivers. You know, not tight ends, but receivers. I think Zay Flowers is a below average number one. You know what I mean? So I think he's a fine player, but I think if we were to
half the league has to
exactly right. So it sounds right. It's not as cutting as it sounds more cutting than it is. He's a good player, but I think
did he make the Pro Bowl last year? I mean, I get it, the Pro Bowl.
But I think if you were, and I'm not asking you to do it, right? If you were to name receivers, you probably name 20 before you get to Zay Flowers. Bateman, we've been waiting on for his whole career.
He's healthy.
So that's the key. He's got to be healthy.
But it's not just healthy.
It's been a while.
I mean,
we keep on being like, Minnesota.
He's never going to be healthy.
We're just waiting for him to emerge.
He's solid. He's not great.
Again, I think he is a below average number two.
I agree.
I think they need the tight ends. Now, Lamar is brilliant, and so he is, and he's never had amazing receivers to begin with. But so this to me is, of all their pass catchers, I think this might be the one that for the beginning of the season they missed the most, because I don't really know how much they would miss Zay versus Likely in this. I think it's at least close. And I do think the beginning of the year really matters. The NFL, I told you guys last year I thought it was unfair that they said to Baltimore, start the season against the team that ripped your hearts out in the playoffs last year. And they're doing it to them again. And they lost that game to the Chiefs. They then last year had, all right, at least we're not going to start 0-2 because we have the Raiders. And then they lost that game, and then they got rolling last year.
But that was a must-win, I think, in Dallas.
They went Dallas and then Buffalo, which people forget, but they blew out the Bills.
25 points.
Yeah,
Okay. We're kind of all over the place in this conversation, honestly. First off, based off of Nick's kind of analysis of the Baltimore Ravens, then then nobody should ever blame Lamar Jackson for a single playoff loss, and he should get nothing but heaps of praise to even the fact that he's even getting the Ravens to an AFC championship game in the first place and winning the division, etc., etc. So this is where we just can't seem to be consistent in how we feel about anyone in any given moment. We also don't have to pretend like this is a doomsday scenario where it's like, if you take away likely that it's just like, I don't know what this team's gonna do. Like you could make the argument that I'd rather lose Zay than likely, and it's just like we kind of start spiraling here right now. Yeah, okay, it's a schedule. Like, we also I don't think we also have to invent this to being anything that it's not, because the Ravens have consistently been on par with the Bills, with the Chiefs. I mean, they don't really play the Lions as much as obviously those other teams, but like you would say with the Lions in terms of how both teams have played over the last couple of years or so. So like I don't, they have to play the Bills, they have to play the Chiefs. Congrats. Like, they do it every year. Okay? And to say it's not fair that the Ravens had to play the Chiefs opening night that one time, who ripped their heart out or this or that. We don't have to turn it into something that it's not. They lost a football game. They lost an AFC championship game. It was a tough loss. That's life, man. That's how this stuff works. Like, and whether it's week 1 or week 8, like, it's just the way this stuff works, man. Like, I don't understand why that is like even remotely a sticking point. Like, to me, that's the whole thing of just trying to just lionize and immortalize the Chiefs even more so than what they are, and really try to solidify the idea that the Ravens are just this, like, whimpering animal who's just like, oh, we're just so weak and we're so fragile, and we lost against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and now we have to play them week 1. Like, I don't understand why. Why does everyone hate me? And it's just like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's just absurd to me, honestly. It really is. And so it's just like, the Ravens are more than capable of dealing with every single one of these teams, even with a banged up roster, like specifically just missing your tight end here. And we could say, oh, well, the Ravens were considering moving off Mark Andrews, but they didn't. So yeah, they were going to try to move on from him and based off of value, and say, hey, you know what? You're better off moving on from someone a little bit early than a little bit late. But it's not like now Mark Andrews is just like, oh, gosh, all we do is have like 75-year-old Mark Andrews. Like, what good is he going to be? And we know he's going to get injured, and we can't really rely on him. And it's like, that's not what you're doing with Andrews either. Where you're like, there's going to be concerns with Mark Andrews mentally. No, there's not. This isn't Mark Andrews' first game in the NFL. This isn't the first time that he's faced adversity. This is a grown man who's been playing grown man football in the NFL for years. For years. All right, I guess then Patrick Mahomes, there's going to be some concerns for Patrick Mahomes because he was humiliated in the Super Bowl and he played so bad, and now everyone's being so mean to him. And now Patrick Mahomes is going to be like, I don't understand why everyone's so mean to me. Why is no one thinks I'm the best quarterback anymore? How's he going to be in week 4 against the Kansas? Why aren't we having that conversation? It's the same type of conversation. It really is. It's the same type of conversation. So it's just, to me, it's absurd. It's absurd. And if you can't get energized and motivated, first off, like, you want to play the team that beat you. You won it week 1. You don't care about anything else. Like, you want that. You're excited. You're like, that's right. I cannot wait to play the Bills week 1. I cannot wait to play the Chiefs week 1. I want this. I live for this. I've been thinking about this all day, all summer, all winter. Like, this is what I live for. Not like, oh gosh, I really wish we could play them week 5. That would have been so much better, because then, like, we could have got, like, situated a little bit and a little bit more organized. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. If this was Derrick Henry or something, then I could understand, because it's such a foundational aspect, obviously, of the run game and just kind of how they want to anchor their offense. But I don't know. Now, to be fair, and I will say this, and I'll slightly undercut my entire rant here. To be fair, when you're playing great teams, I don't think it's fully fair to be able to consistently that is, and reliably beat other great teams, because otherwise, then what's the point of having great players? Like, if you're saying no excuse, right? If you're missing your wide receiver 1 or something, or, you know, whatever it may be, and now you lose against another great team, you're like, oh, well, you know, everyone's banged up, or like, you can't have it perfect. It's like, well, you're right. When you're playing some of these lower level teams, but when you're playing another great team, if the Bills end up being the number 1 seed, it's like, well, I don't expect a team like the Ravens, no matter how great I think they are, if the Bills are just fundamentally better, I don't expect them to be able to casually and consistently at a high enough rate, you know, more often than not, beat them when they're not even full strength. You would say, again, and I'm not trying to trigger any fan base here, but let's just say that the Bills are a better team than the Ravens in 25, 26. Let's just say that's just the reality of the situation. That's just the truth. No matter what you think about quarterbacks, doesn't matter. So just follow it. You know, it's just like, I would expect, though, that if the Ravens were full strength, since the Bills are better, they would win 4 out of 10 times, right? And the Bills would win, you know, the Ravens would win 4 and the Ravens would win 6. But when they're injured, when you're not full strength, you're like, all right, maybe they win 3 out of 10 now, right? Instead of the 4, depending on what injury it is and you know, what the, you know, when, I suppose, as well. So it's just like, I think that's fair, but does it mean that we need to start sounding the alarm here, honestly? I mean, you play the Cleveland Browns twice, first off, just in general, but of course you're playing them in week 2. I'm sorry, I'm not intimidated by the Texans in this exact moment right now. And you know, again, you're the Baltimore Ravens. Like, you even when you're not perfectly healthy, you should be in a spot to put yourself in a position to win against the Lions, the Texans, the Rams, the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns again, the Jets. Like, we can say that this is a brutal schedule, but like, you have a couple tough games, which going up against the Bills and going up against the Chiefs will always be that thing, right? We know that. But then every other game is clearly winnable, and I have to imagine they're favored against, without a doubt, obviously the Browns, but the Texans, the Rams, the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings. They're going to be favored in every single one of those games from week 5 onward. They may even be, I guess, since it's at Kansas City and at Buffalo, they probably won't be favored then, I assume. But like, they're going to be favored in all of these, whether likely is there or not. So I also just want to know, and I don't know. I'll leave it at that. I won't go on another rant, because it'll bring up the Chiefs and that, and I don't feel like doing that. But yeah, I think it's all good. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens? How concerned should the Ravens be with Isaiah likely now to have surgery on his foot fracture? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.